microprocessor, which is the microprocessor in the first IBM personal computer, and the 8087 microprocessor that made the Mac coprocessor that made the personal computer a real business machine, and so on. And Ron says, and since then, most of the key microprocessors from Intel have had heavy input from Israel, including the Centrino, which connects your machine to Wi-Fi, and the latest Intel microprocessor, the Core i7, which Intel says is their most important breakthrough since the original microprocessor. There's a little bit of fight there. But this is called Nahala, and it means streams, and it's in Hebrew, and it's multiple streams of processing at once, and this is the breakthrough of the Core i7 processor. And meanwhile, the non-volatile memory concept that Doug Froman pioneered and taught at Hebrew University in Israel led to a whole series of Israeli advances in non-volatile memory, including SanDisk and M-Systems, a whole bunch of companies that ended up making possible the thumb drive, where you can plug in a little gigabyte of information in the side of your machine, and the iPod and the Nano and all these non-volatile memories really are greatly influenced and shaped by Israel's accomplishments. But this is a period. This period was to explore the new development in Israel that I really focus on in the Israel test. This was meeting an Intel meeting its Israel test and becoming the world's greatest microchip company as a result. And at this point, most of Israel's technology was cultivated and supported by the United States. It really was a product of Silicon Valley. It was kind of an extension of Silicon Valley where research and development was conducted. But it wasn't a source itself of radical new innovations or radical new companies at that point. And it didn't. In 1990, for example, Michael Porter, Harvard's professor on the competitiveness of nations, did one paragraph on Israel, old big tome, which says Israel specialized in agricultural and defense technologies. And this was pretty much true if you ignored the semiconductor implantations from the United States, but Israelis performing the actual innovation. So anyway, Israel is not the heart of my book. It's not a charity for the United States. Israel is not some idealistic beneficiary of American generosity and outreach. It's not a bastion of democracy in the Middle East. It's not deserving of support for some civics award. Israel has been an absolutely vital and essential ally of the United States. There's no more important one, and the U.S. economy would not be nearly as prosperous as it is today. The U.S. would not conceivably have even won the Cold War without the contributions of Israeli scientists. And this was really explained to me by Edward Teller when I was not Edward Teller was explaining that after the Second World War, the U.S. really wasn't even able to defeat the Soviet Union in its military and technological advances. An American bureaucracy, a kind of big, secret, classified, bureaucratic program in the United States after the Second World War, gave way to, the Soviet hydrogen bomb, Sputnik, intercontinental missiles, all were coming from the Soviet Union, and it wasn't clear at the time that the U.S. really was superior in its military capabilities. And the reason we won was not these classified programs. Classified programs chiefly just tell the spies what to look for, what's important. What won was this amazing efflorescence of information technology, epitomized by Intel's microchips in every PC, and the advances that this spurred in software and communications and ultimately in internet all do have the same roots in this collaboration with Israel that I was describing. So, and now, in the last 20 years, there's been a new Israeli miracle. And this is, during the 1980s, Israel was kind of a mess. It still hadn't escaped from socialism. It had tremendous inflation, spikes up to 1,000% a year. It was in a dire predicament. It was not until the 1990s that all of Israel changed, and it really was the transformation, and Israel moved decisively toward capitalism. And since 1990, there's now been a 60-fold increase in venture capital in Israel, 60 times increase in venture capital, a huge multiplication of small companies to the extent that Israel now has the second largest representation on the American stock market in the world, NASDAQ, high-tech NASDAQ, ahead of Canada even. And Deloitte and Touche last year did a study of venture capital around the world and interviewed some 400 venture capitalists to decide which countries were making the most contributions in 6 areas that really represented the key portfolio of venture capital, and that's biotech, clean tech, microchips, telecom, these areas, in all these areas, Israel was second only to the United States in absolute terms, not merely per capita. Per capita is just overwhelming, but at least in absolute terms in these key areas which are crucial to the world economy. And so I believe that just as Israel was crucial, the Jews were crucial winning the Second World War, Israel's now a distillation of the genius of Jews, and now we face new challenges, a jihad around the world, militantly focused on destroying the whole culture of capitalism and freedom. We can win if we ally with Israel again, and wholeheartedly and without embarrassment and without any foolish notion that somehow Israel